Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Charmed, Season 2, Episode 18, Chick Flick. This episode is near and dear to my heart because this was the first ever Charmed episode I had ever seen. I didn't know what a Charmed was because at the time when the show first started, I didn't have cable. And so my family didn't get cable until the third season. And then the third season was over with, and I had to watch a bunch of repeats. Oh, the good old days of repeats and everything. And I absolutely fell in love with this show when I first started watching it. It was just so great and everything. And the reason how I was able to watch this episode in season 2 because a relative had recorded it for me. And so, yeah, I had never heard of Charm. I didn't know what Charm was. I didn't know who was in it. And then as I started watching, I was like, Shannon Doherty, Alyssa Milano. I grew up watching them on TV with Beverly Hills 90210 and Who's the Boss. And I was so ecstatic because the last time I saw either one of those on screen was Alyssa was in some movie about a disgruntled boyfriend with Mark Wahlberg, I think he was in it, and Reese Witherspoon, like a TV movie. And Shannon Doherty was in another TV movie where this woman went crazy and tried to burn her to death or something like that. And I crushed huge on both of these growing up. And so I was so happy to see that they was in a TV show together until, of course, Shannon left in the third season because of all the, drama that was going on between her and Alyssa. Oh, I was so pissed. And then they brought in freaking Rose McGowan crazy behind, which I used to like Rose McGowan until she went crazy in the head. But anyway. And so I knew those two, but everybody else in the show, I had no idea who they were. And I had no idea who Holly was, but I quickly became a fan, and of course, I quickly crushed on her. In fact, it's funny, because I went into this watching it because of Shannon and Alyssa, but I came out of it loving myself some Holly and everything. And so, this was such a unique, cool show when it was cool for the first 3 seasons, maybe the fourth, but mostly the first 3. Everything else after that just sucked. And the reboot could never compare to this show. It's too classic. The special effects in this episode are amazing and they still hold up till the day. That is insane because this came out about 24 years ago or something like that? Because this came out in 2000. Man, those were some cool times back in that. Man, best period in my life, late 90s, early 2000s. Everything just sucks now. 2010s just suck. And the 2020s suck even more. But this was a good time to live, man. And oh man, when you watch this episode and you see the old technology, like the old-fashioned camera that Prue has, and using film instead of digital, finding out what movies are gonna be shown by looking in the newspaper, landline phones, flip cell phones. I mean, man, this takes me back and everything. And that was just some fun time. And it was so ancient back then. You literally had to find out what movie was going to show because of the newspaper. And now you can just look on the internet or use an app. It really makes you appreciate the technology you have now, but it also makes you appreciate the past. Man, if our early settlers could see the way we're living now, they would be shocked, amazed, and awe, and they would be so jealous and everything. But then they'll be all like, look at all this technology and money. It made y'all corrupt and y'all killing each other because of it and stuff. Back in our days, we just looked at the river and that was our entertainment and everything. But this episode is really cool. And it's cool for a couple of reasons. One, each girl gets their own story arc, which I always loved about this show. And they get enough screen time between all 3 of them for whatever it is they're going through. And not only that, but we get to see like, Phoebe's favorite movie when she was growing up as a kid, which is called Kill It Before It Die. No, Kill It before it dies. Which a lot of people seem to think is a real movie, but it's not. But it should be a movie. It's one of those old 1950s black and white movies where two kids are in the woods making out, and boom, a monster shows up and wants to kill them. But I believe the monster is a werewolf or something like that. And those movies back in those days, the way they was written made like, the ideal person, the ideal boyfriend, the ideal girlfriend, like something as simple and simplistic as just making out in the woods and a monster shows up. And there's been plenty of TV shows and movies that kind of like, they'll show like an old like horror flick and it's set in those times, and it's always like the clothes and the atmosphere, and there's always some weird monster going around. Like The Haunting Hour did an episode like that. I wish they would make a movie like that in modern day, but with color, just to see what it would be like and see what people will gravitate to it. You know what I'm saying? And the dialogue in this episode is very important with all three girls and the situations that they go through. And it really hits you in different ways. You know what I'm saying? And especially now when I'm watching this, because when I watched it back then, I was young. And so I didn't know much about life. But then after this, I graduated high school, went to college in 2001. And certain things in this episode just resonate with me more now than they ever did when I was a teenager and stuff. And that's what was so great about television back in these days, that they actually had like a real, true, genuine story that didn't try to shove nothing down your throat or nothing like that. And, you have the plot, you have the action and everything, but there was an actual story with meaning and feeling going behind it. And so with this episode, I literally had nothing, like I had no clue as to what was going on, and so when I see that of like a demon, I'm like, okay, like a demon, but I'm like, well, hold up. This doesn't look like a demon, like a monster. He's like human, just wearing a trench coat and everything and dressed all in black. But in this episode, the demon of illusion is the main bad guy. And basically what it is that he travels with the movie print as the movie's going from like town to town and stuff. And he has the ability to make people angry. So as he's in like, the movie screen, he does like, his magic, like, like the swirly stuff comes out his hand, and he imprints angry thoughts on the people, and they like just beat each other up. So he's causing like havoc wherever he goes and stuff. And I do love the special effects of like when you see the screen, they like punch their hand out or they like walk out the screen. It's like amazing. But later on, he discovers he has a new ability. He has the ability to make people from like, the movie come out the movie world and into the real world. So he realizes, hey, why make people angry when I can just bring out like horror monsters and slashers and killers and kill people and stuff. So the charmed ones have like, a real difficult time trying to like, get rid of these people because they have to adhere by the rules of how that movie character was. So they are unable to use their powers on like the slashers and killers and stuff. And it makes for a very interesting watch. And I was very intrigued by all that I saw. And so like when it comes to the girls and their individual story arcs, Piper and Leo are finally a couple. I had no idea who this Leo person was. I didn't know he was a white lighter. I didn't know he could teleport or any of this stuff. She had just broken up with Dan. I forget why she broke up with Dan. It's been a while since I saw this season. And so, of course, as we know, Leo and Piper are truly meant to be, with all the stuff that happens to them towards the end of the series and everything. They're one of the best on screen couples of like any television show. And so, while they're trying to do their date, they're trying to have a very non magical date, which of course gets interrupted because, he's a white lighter, she's a charmed one, and also because Dan shows up at the restaurant with his new girlfriend, or at least a date. And it's very awkward and stuff. And lots of people can relate to that because, they hate seeing their ex or running into them at certain events or whatever, and or just like an old friend. It's like the most awkward thing ever. I remember like I met this one girl in college, never did nothing, like we never dated or nothing. But and so we just had a falling out because of her other friend that was an idiot. And so when I like go to this event on campus, I see her and her angry little boyfriend just like staring me down, which was weird because she didn't even go to like the college I went to. So I don't know why she was there. And it was just like an awkward moment. I just didn't want to be there, like around them and stuff, because it's like people you just can't stand. Like you just don't want to be in the same room with them. Plus, nowadays, people just act stupid and crazy when they see folks they don't like. As for Prue, she is dealing with a difficult client, if you will. She's a photographer now. I forget the original job she had in season one, but she's a photographer now. And that camera, oh my God, dude, is so old fashioned. It's so big, and I love the product placement in it. And so she has to take the picture of this famous photographer named Quinn Beck or something like that. And he's a very arrogant, smug of a person. Basically, he thinks he's all that because he's really good at photography and he's very famous, but he is her hero. From the moment she starts to talk to him, he's just rude and condescending and just so arrogant. And he thinks she's an amateur and talking about how she doesn't know how to like take pictures. She wants to use digital, but he wants her to use film because he says digital is for amateurs. Now you gotta remember around this time, it was like what, 2000? This is when digital cameras started coming around and started to take over. And it started to bump out that of regular traditional film cameras. And so I remember when I was in college, I took a photography class. And so, of course, they wanted to do the old film route. And I think either I had a digital camera or I was about to buy one. But I'm all like, I don't want to have to track down an old fashioned camera with film and like learn this technique and all this other crap. So I just dropped that class because I mean, like digital was like the new thing and people was living in the Stone Age. That's how I viewed it back then because I was young, you know what I'm saying? Like in my early 20s and stuff. Or maybe I was 19 or something. I don't know. I can't remember when I took that class. And so like now, of course, movies have went digital and it's sometimes there's too much digital clarity. Like you go in the Best Buy, you see those TVs and it's that 4K stuff, that great resolution. And it's just kind of like this too much. Things move awkwardly. They don't move natural and stuff. Like I was watching Scream last night and I have two versions. I have the DVD version and I have the Blu-ray version. The DVD version is like really, really small. What is it called? Window, widescreen box, whatever it's called, like that. Window box, whatever. It's very thin. You have to zoom in just to see what you're seeing. Then on the Blu-ray, it's nice and bold and you can see everything, but it's digital clarity. There's no grain to it. The way, I don't know what happened. Whenever I updated my Blu-ray player, my Blu-ray disc, the characters, it's weird. Like it looked like they glide on screen and they move awkwardly and everything. They don't move natural. and that's because it's been enhanced, the older copy of Scream and everything to put on Blu-ray. And I don't like that version, so I just went back to the regular DVD version where there's grain to it that give it that, like, spooky vibe. That's how I remember seeing it back in the day. Grain, I miss grain sometimes on television. Like, a lot of my older shows have grain in it, and characters move naturally, and I can actually hear the killer's voice on the phone in DVD. I can't do that on Blu-ray because it's so enhanced, and not everything has to be enhanced. And they added more color to it, which makes it look weird. I don't remember it being that colorful and everything. It's the same thing with Buffy on Blu-ray or Batman the animated series. Everything is now changed and stuff, and it doesn't look the way it used to. And so I do get what this man is talking about and why he didn't want her to use digital. And when I see them do the process of developing pictures with the negatives and stuff, I never learned how to do that, but I've always wanted to do that. And how you can add like shading just by like developing them certain different ways. People have lost that technique now because technology is advanced. You'll have to put it in Photoshop just to mess around. In fact, I don't even think they use Photoshop no more. All you gotta do is just get some kind of app and add a filter to it. So I totally understand and appreciate now what that man was talking about in this episode about using film as well as opposed to that of digital. But basically, he didn't have to badmouth her all the time like the way he did, and call her like a rank amateur and stuff. And as for Phoebe, well, she has a psychology class because she's in college now. I think she started going back to college. And, psychology will work well with her powers of empathy. Only problem is she kind of used them both together in one episode, which was not a good idea. And so, like, I forget what her thesis is about. It's something to do about like love or some crap like that. So she went back to her first love, Billy, from like this horror movie. And it's a movie she watched all the time when she was younger. And she was told as a young kid to stop watching this movie because she was too obsessed with it. And because she is not so much obsessed with the movie, but she's obsessed with the character. Phoebe cannot find love. And so she imprints that on this fake fictional character she sees on screen. And there are other people who do things similar to that. Now, I've never done that. Like, I've never seen a character, went through that character's journey and fell in love with that character as opposed to a romantic fall in love, other than just appreciation for what that person went through. I have, however, liked the person's acting so much that I crushed on the actress. And so, like, but there are other people who can watch something and they can feel what that person is feeling on screen and they can relate, and then they fall in love and all this other stuff. And it's really like a false sense of security that is not a real person. It is a character. But the problem is people just don't like the character. They end up liking the star as well, knowing that that star is nothing like their character. And then this is why you never meet like celebrities, because when you do meet them, it turns out just to be a huge disappointment, which is why I really need to stop like following celebrities on social media. Some of them people are just so mean and nasty and twisting their. I've been blocked by 3 celebrities. And I still don't know why. Well, one I do. I called her an idiot because she is. Maybe I've been blocked by 4 or 5. I just not thought of these other 2 that I called an idiot. And okay, the ones I called an idiot, okay, yeah, I understand why they blocked me and everything. But like, the other ones, I have no idea why. And so it's disappointing and everything when it's kind of like this person you're a fan of and like, man, I can't even follow you and stuff. But then it's like, these other celebrities that you just get like very disappointed in. Like, I'm disappointed in Raven Simone, Kevin Sorbo, and, Pamela Anderson. And it's just kind of like, man, I wish I was never a fan of theirs in the past, but this was like heartbreaking and stuff. And so with When they do discover this demon and they find out where he is, they try to get him out. And because first he attacked them at their home, and then they follow him to the movie theater. And so, like, Phoebe just came up with a spell on top of her head, and they thought they vanquished him. But it turns out they didn't. So when there's another ruckus and everything, and Leo tells them the demon is not vanquished, they head back to the movie theater. And so he gets pushed out of the screen along with that of Billy, because Billy tackled him and everything. And so that's when it gives him the idea to like bring the slashers, out the screen. And this is a great way of bringing a monster to like the real world, because the charmed ones are in. They cannot use their powers against people in the movie screen because they're not real. The laws of their magic just won't work. And it's literally to the point where you think, oh crap, dude, the hero's about to lose and everything. And so Phoebe is like amazed that Billy is alive in flesh, but not color. And so when they take him back, and it's kind of like a eye-opening world for him, because he's back in the 1950s setting and he's living in the year 2000, and everything is just so different to him. And they have a beautiful conversation about who he is and what he is. He literally tells her he's nothing but those words on screen. Like, his character will never be changed. When he is on screen, that is who he is and stuff. And he can't change the person that he is. But now he's having a different perspective because he is in the real world. And, when they go back to the movie theater and everything, and they try to get like, him out, they see like his girlfriend, Sally Mae, and Sally Mae is so 1950s. And she's all like, you pinned me. He's all like, that's because that's what the writers wanted me to do, Sally Mae. I love that line. And, whatchamacallem. And so, like, when the slashers start coming to slashing, it's cool. It's like this dude, an axe murderer, is Bloody Mary with a knife. And so we get some really hilarious stuff with the girls. One thing I love about this cast of Charm is how they react to everything. When there's a slasher chasing them, they react in a natural, normal way. They're not acting like they're acting, they're just like really reacting to something. The way they feed off each other with the dialogue and like how they react to the three sisters is so natural. I never felt that in the Charmed reboot, with the screams and the holding hands and the running and the noises they make with their mouths. Like when Piper ran into like the shower, she's all like, I'm being chased by an axe murderer and I run in the shower. God, I love Piper. And it's just like the little like early 2000s like phrases they use, and you just don't get that with like the reboot. And it's funny to see Billy be all like, all right, the man is here to save the day, and proves all like, it's the 21st century, it's the woman's job to save the day, which it is when you stop and think about it in both TV, movies, and the real world and stuff like that. Like, a lot of women end up saving the world through politics and stuff. And it's crazy that they still don't get their due. But they realize something. Since those characters are who they are on, like, whether they're out the screen or in the screen, thanks to Billy's help, they now know how to kill them. So they just have to kill them the way they die in, like, the movies. And, of course, Phoebe knows all about that because all she watches is horror movies and stuff. So after they do that, they come up with a potion to go inside the movie screen and kill the demon. That's the only way they can, I guess, kill him or whatever. But he has a trick up his sleeve. When two of them go into the movie screen, Prue is left because there's a disgruntled like viewer that's there, in the audience, and so he's under a spell. And I love this side by side fighting. Like you see Prue fighting the moviegoer at the same time. Phoebe is fighting like the demon and stuff inside the screen. And I love that double punch that Prue and Piper give to like the bad guys, which is ironic that Piper will punch somebody because she's Piper and everything. She's a scaredy cat. Then, like, it's like, crap, dude, they did lose because when the movie ends, they get stuck in the movie. So Prue has to like use her astral projection and like reverse like the film, which I didn't even know Prue could do astral projection and stuff. This was just amazing when I was watching it. And so like um she reverses it, and like she uses a trick that Glenn taught her. See, when she was arguing with him, she left the film under the light and it burnt. So that's what she did here, and it finally killed that demon. We then get some closure, what I'm saying? We get closure with Billy and Phoebe, and we get closure with that of Piper and Dan, as Prue gifts that of Phoebe with her favorite movie on that I can't talk, VHS and everything. And this was just like a kooky, fun show. And it was a great way for me to get into this show and stuff. And I stuck with it, Lord Jesus, all the way to the end. Well, no, actually, wait. I gave up after the 5th season, or 4th. I think I gave up with the 5th because I got tired of how everything was changed and how Prue wasn't there no more. And then I just gave up with the show entirely. But then when it was on Netflix, I watched the entire thing. And then I bought like the DVD of season 1 through 4. That wasn't that spooky. All right, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.